be honest, I just talked to Joel, and we have the same comment centers. As long as the big man wins, we're going to be fine.
You do realize you're making history, right?
Who?
You!
I mean, it is what I'm just trying to win every game, you know. Joel was amazing today. He's doing that to every game, so I just try to keep up with him.
Straight Talk Wireless, no contract, no compromise. Who's better, Jokic or Embiid, Jay?
Like, who would I prefer to play with as a guard?
Who do you think's better? Well, who would you prefer to play with? Sure. Who would you prefer to play with?
I'm not getting caught in these thirst traps anymore, Harry. Who's
thirst
better?
Trap,
like, they're both so unique, man. Like, they're one-on-one bigs. So
who would you rather play with?
I think if you're a floor spacer, Jokic's basketball IQ is off the charts. His passing ability is so dangerous. Yeah. But Joel Embiid's offensive ability to space the floor, I mean, they're both do things very similar. I'll be happy with either.
I'm taking Embiid.
I'm taking Embiid because his defense is a little better.
Yeah, and I think he's more of the dominant player.
See, I don't know about that. See, I think you're thinking about dominant affecting with having the ball scoring.
I'm just saying in the paint.
I'm just trying to tell you how many points Jokic accounts for per game due to his. I mean, he's accounted for at least 20 to 30 points a game with his assists.
Because he can facilitate, yeah.
With his assists. So add those assists to his ability to pick and pop, floor space.
Rebound.
They're just different. They're different. I will agree that Joel Embiid's better defensively.
I'm just saying, like, paint-wise, I think Embiid is more dominant.
Yeah, but
this is also, see the way he gets to the free throw line.
Agreed. Because I think he got there like 12 times.
He's a little taller, a little longer, like, you know.
But,
yeah.
All right, so I combat that thought with Jokic being more durable.
I wouldn't argue with it.
How about and Jokic shoots it a little better.
Yes.
Although Embiid's shooting is improved.
I'm looking at Jokic last night, getting the ball, bringing it up the court, no look passes. And I'm like, the man's skill set is unbelievable.
It's unbelievable.
And he doesn't play above the rim.
See, so these are little things that when Embiid won the individual performance last night, but then the Nuggets won the game. But now I'll give Bones Highland a lot of credit. You guys don't know his story. I can tell that later. It made 4 threes in the fourth quarter. But still, like, the Nuggets are still playing without Michael Porter Jr. and Jamal Murray.
I know.
And you just hit it, Jay, for me on Jokic. The reason I love Jokic, but I will be a true believer when I see him be the best player on the team in the playoffs, which I have not yet seen. Jamal Murray was the best player on the team when they had that run in the bubble. And Jokic, if he could match that, they could win a championship. But he has to match that. Agreed. He's got to raise up in the playoffs. Although Embiid also has not been completely lights out in the playoffs.
Just very quickly about Bones Highland. I don't know if you guys know this. I mean, he's from Delaware. He had about 600 to 700 people at the game the other night. He lost his grandmother and a cousin in a house fire. Okay, he jumped out of the second story of a home. Him and his little brother, like, he tore up his knee. I mean, the story of him coming back and playing, had 4 threes last night in the fourth quarter, being drafted as a rookie. It's just one of these incredible stories where we get so fixated with scoring points and who's the best and who's better. You have these stories of these people that have survived and thrived, and Bones Highland is one of them.
And you really want people to get interested in your story. You hit 4 threes in the fourth. Yeah, and he did it. That's an amazing story. Download the ESPN Tournament Challenge app to fill out your brackets for both the men's and women's tournament. You can join KJM Celebrity Group, play along with us, filling out brackets with ESPN's free and easy. The ESPN Tournament Challenge, presented by WebEx. Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max, presented by Progressive Insurance. The Steelers answered their biggest question of the offseason, but that leaves another. After Jay has this from NetSuite.
In growing companies, there are 2 kinds of CFOs, Harry. The one overwhelmed with manual processes, errors, and lack of control than playing tonight.
Guess I need to do it tonight then.
Yeah, because Indiana plays tonight, my wife, obviously.
Sean Farnham put me up on yesterday on this Just In, 2 p.m. Eastern ESPN. You know what? Handsome host, did I mention that? You know what he put me up on? South Dakota State. You know what they're shooting from 3?
What?
As a team?
What?
45%.
Wow.
I've never heard of anything like that.
That random stat is very impressive.
It is very impressive. It blew my mind. I went back to it 3 times. As a team. Have you ever heard anything like that?
I don't know.
Evan, what did you say? I offended people by saying play.
Please don't offend the teams that are playing tonight by calling it a play-in. It's opening round games, please.
Opening round.
Okay.
They don't like to call play-in because they are actually in the tournament.
Right.
Yeah.
But
So
they have to win this game
will-
first to get into
Yes.
the
I
betting
will
mode.
work on being politically correct
Thank
when it
you.
comes to clarifying the
Thank you.
opening round.
Yes, we don't
of
want to
NCAA
offend any
tournament.
of the teams
Right.
playing tonight. They are part of the field of 68. There's
Field
also
of
field of
68,
60.
yeah.
There's also field of 68 in the women tomorrow night, opening round games.
Yes.
Please don't call those playing. Thank you.
Yeah,
On
yes,
our
that-
network, by the way, on our network.
Right, right, because these are the playoffs. So really, the first opening games you call the playouts. Someone ain't gonna be in the playoffs, basically. Guys, 3 players scored at least 45 points yesterday in the NBA.
Happy birthday, Steph.
Yeah, Steph. By the way,
Ices.
34.
remember all the long shooting slump and the whole thing? It's amazing how Draymond Green's just presence or imminent return changes everything.
Makes the game easy
Car
for
engine.
people.
He's the car
He
engine.
I said it before. Him and Marcus Smart, they are the engine to the cars. They make it easy for everybody.
And Draymond in particular, if this is like the modern or postmodern NBA era, whatever you want to call it, Harry, we were talking about, we were all chopping it up about the NBA before the show started. What really changed the center position? We're going to get to this in a second because centers have to guard in space now. They have to do all these things, shoot from outside. To me, Draymond, when they went to the death lineup and you had a small ball 5 do everything guy, all of a sudden you need an Al Horford type. You need guys who can do more who are more versatile than, Patrick Ewing and Alonzo Mourning, who are great, but like different kinds of players. Changed everything. So now you have guys like Jokic and Embiid. And by the way, Karl Anthony Towns,
Cat.
who became the 5th center in NBA history with a 60-point game.
Stand up, St. Joe's in Metuchen, New Jersey. That's my school, by the way.
60.
We went to the same high school. I just want you to know that.
60. Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, he's
That's
a
a
real one.
basketball
He's a real
factory
one.
So,
right
so
there.
who was the best player to
He's
ever come out of there?
He's the real one.
I'm asking.
He's the real. I'll give it to him in a
Okay.
heartbeat. I'll give it to him. 6'11", doing that. I mean, he's probably the 3rd best big in the game of basketball right now.
Is Giannis a big?
I look at Giannis more as a swing guard.
Is AD a big?
I
Yeah,
think I see him as a forward.
He just spends so much more time. I'm talking about guys that play with their back to the basket.
Like
Got it.
center.
More like I don't think there's true centers anymore. I think the game has evolved into like Joel Embiid isn't a true center. Neither is Jokic. They're not true centers. They're bigs with the versatility of doing things on the perimeter, but they can play with their back to the basket. I don't really see AD play his back to the basket.
Back to the basket and protect the rim. Would you throw that in there?
Well, AD can protect the rim.
AD can protect the rim.
But I need AD on
and
the
he can
court
post,
to put him in
but-
that category.
Yeah, yeah.
The,
Well, I hear you. I hear you.
Lakers need him on the court, especially after watching the last 2 games they played.
Cat dropped 60. Steph
60.
dropped 47. Cat dropped 60 and 32 in the third, which the all-time record's Clay, who dropped 37 in a quarter. Steph, 47 on his birthday.
And then
Trae Young.
Ice Trae, baby.
I mean, talk about who changed the game.
Who does he
Trae
play
Young.
for?
ATL.
Stand up. Stand up, ATL,
Trae
baby.
Young does not have the best skills I have ever seen or the most talent. But you know what he has? He has the kind of heart to watch Steph Curry and say, I can play like that. And he has guts to do it. And just because he has talent and the skills are good enough and he has the guts to do it, 46, that's his second 45-point game in back-to-back games. It's insane.
Well, let me tell you what I love about Trae Young. The city of Atlanta, especially basketball-wise, needed a villain that the city embraced and loved. He became that last year in the NBA in that series against the New York Knicks. And the city, when I mean the city is behind Trae Young, the city is behind Trae Young in multiplicity of ways. And I love it. Now, I just hope they can make some noise in the play-in and see if they can get over the hump, because I think they are one of the scariest teams, the Atlanta Hawks, when they're hitting on all cylinders.
Well, so this is what's interesting to talk about this morning, and it could be really quickly. So you see, the Cavs won last night, the Raptors won last night, the Brooklyn Nets, obviously, and then the Hawks won last night, right? Yep. So you have this 4-team race, and Charlotte's right there too with 34 wins. They're all vying for the playing position. And Max, as we talk about with the Brooklyn Nets, that 7-8 range right now, they would have to play against Toronto, and that would mean Kyrie Irving couldn't play in Toronto and couldn't play at home.
There's so much to get into. By the way, the Lakers had 12 points in the first quarter against the Raptors. They were outscored 33-12.
Carl Anthony Towns had how many points?
32 points in the third. So we're going to get to the Lakers in an hour. Here's the question. Is there a more talented big than Karl Anthony Towns? Jay, you have said, yes, there's Joel Embiid and Nikola Jokic, right? It's time for Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Listen to Jokic, the Nuggets center extraordinaire. Last year led the league in PER, which is not an end-all and be-all stat, but it accounts for a lot of the stats that people like, points, rebounds, assists, and you know, all the percentages and all that stuff. And this year has a better PER than last year, by the way.